Hi folks, this is Tabi SOB, and today I'm going to show you how to beat Wildhearts' big pig himself, Kingtusk. Yeah, so Kingtusk is likely going to be the first tough boss for a lot of new players in Wildhearts, and for good reason. Basically, it's a huge monster that can cover a lot of ground real quick, plus it hits hard, which can especially be a challenge if you're still wearing the starting armor set in the game. I mean, seriously, I've seen a lot of players getting trampled, gored, and unceremoniously oinked to death when I jump in to help out with missions. On that note, I'm going to go through Kingtusk's patterns and the best way to deal with them to hopefully make your life easier. I'll also highlight its initial armor set, including its two early upgrade variations, mainly the human path and kemono path modifications. Now let's go roast some boar. Now prep time works wonders for Batman, it will for you too, at least when it comes to fighting Kingtusk. Here are my recommendations before you get started on your ginormous pig hunt. At the top of the list is to get better armor. So your starting armor in Wildhearts looks cool and all, but it's just about as durable as toilet paper. I mean seriously, each piece has like one measly point of defense. As such, I recommend crafting at least the fresh armor set. That's actually what it's named. Yeah, which is easy to gather materials for, and also comes with 7 points of defense per piece. Congratulations, you're no longer fresh meat. Pun so totally intended. Then my next advice is to upgrade your weapon. Upgrading your weapon the first time provides a huge boost in attack power, about 70% in the case of the katana, which is a huge difference. In my case, it basically allowed me to cut my hunt times by nearly half. And then as far as what weapon to use, just go with the one that you're most comfortable with. Personally, I like using the Nodachi since it's great at breaking body parts, but it actually might be too slow for beginners. As far as ease of use, I definitely recommend the katana, which is fast and easy to cancel mid-combo in case you need to dodge. But a potentially even easier alternative to use is the bow, which gives you extra breathing space since you don't have to be super up close. Plus Kingtusk is a big target, so it's easy to pull off the bow's explosive Haya and resonant arrow combos. And then next is to make sure that you eat before the hunt. Depending on the item, you can get a boost to health, defense, or even your crit chance. You can eat anytime as long as you're actively not in the middle of a battle by pressing left on the D-pad when using a controller. This brings up a list of consumable items that you have collected, and you should have several if you've been diligently harvesting in prior hunts. Also important is to make sure that you bring your Tsukumo buddy. This circular little karakuri buddy can buff and heal you while also attracting the attention of big kemono like Kingtusk. The distraction it provides can be useful in a pinch if you need to heal, and also provides you attack openings while the monster is distracted, particularly when playing solo. Otherwise, you can recruit other players to help you with the hunt. The ability to revive fallen players during the multiplayer also gives you some leeway in successfully finishing the hunt, provided of course that Kingtusk doesn't prevent you from finishing a revival. I recommend building a bulwark wall to help protect you when reviving just in case. And then my final tip as far as making sure that you're fully prepared is to make sure that you are fully stocked. So you will start each hunt with a full supply of karakuri thread and healing water. However, you'll want to make sure you restock on those items during the course of the hunt as you use them up. Always having karakuri thread is especially important so you can create a bulwark wall anytime. And this is particularly important for the Kingtusk fight. Okay, so now it's time to throw hands, or hooves, with Kingtusk. Now as far as what to hit, the most vulnerable part of Kingtusk's body is its head, which has a 5-star softness rating. Just keep in mind that this does not apply to its tusks, which is actually the hardest part of Kingtusk's body, with a 1-star softness rating. Unless of course you're trying to break it. Otherwise, every other body part for Kingtusk has a 3-star softness rating. Now you'll start the hunt with a chance to get in a free hit, so I recommend using the most damaging attack that your weapon can do. In the case of the Nodachi, for example, that would be the Ei bisection. And then for bow, you can go either straight into a fully bolstered Otoya shot, which is when you're holding the bow vertically. Otherwise, you can use the free opening as an opportunity to do a fully bolstered Hane shot, which is when you're holding the bow horizontally to embed explosive arrows on Kingtusk. And then once you have an opening, follow that up with a fully bolstered Otoya shot to set off an explosive resonance shot combo. Also, watch out when Kingtusk gets enraged. This gives the kemono some new powered up moves and also increases the size of its two larger glowing tusks, making them cover an even bigger area. Now let's go over some of the kemono's key patterns and how to best deal with them. As far as some basic tips, a lot of Kingtusk's moves actually involve using his head, like literally, so just be careful when you're around its big noggin. When in doubt, just roll toward its hind legs, which is usually a safe spot. Its underbelly is usually a safe spot too, unless Kingtusk does something like its pounce move. Also, try not to mash buttons so you don't get stuck in an attack animation that you can't dodge cancel out of. Instead, press the buttons methodically as you go through your combo strings, so you don't end up preloading a combo move that you can't get out of. By the way, you can also jump on Kingtusk's body and climb it. Seriously. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, once Kingtusk's glowing parts are exposed, and I mean the body parts, not the tusk, you'll see these little bright shining circles. Yeah, you can use your hunter's arm to yank off celestial threads from it, and then break the part as well. This actually lets you go past your thread cap, allowing you to go Bob the Builder with your Karakuri, and just build stuff left and right. Now here are some of Kingtusk's moves that you need to watch out for. So I just came out with these names myself, so they're not official in any way, but hopefully they're easy to remember. So at the top of the list is the Bacon Pounce. So Kingtusk jumps and slams to the ground, and then sometimes it'll do it twice in a row. You'll basically know when it's doing it because it'll quickly raise its two front hooves. And then this comes out kind of fast, so just make sure you're not standing directly underneath him. By the way, if you're standing on the side while it's doing this, you can actually get some free hits in. And then next is the standing front slam. So Kingtusk raises both front legs and then stands up, and then it does a backward hop before slamming both the front hooves down to the ground. This move is telegraphed for a long time, so just roll towards its rear legs once you see the Kingtusk stand up. The tremor might cause you to stagger, but at least you won't get damaged. And then if you're positioned in front of him and have more ground to cover, just sheathe your weapon and do a running slide, or summon a spring karakuri, and then use that to separate yourself away from Kingtusk. And then another move is Vine Growth. If you see Kingtusk shaking its body, like it's trying to get rid of dandruff, that's a sign that it will be summoning vines from underneath the ground. So just look at the ground and then note where you see signs of plant growth, and then make sure to avoid them. By the way, this move also holds Kingtusk in place for a bit, so if it's doing a normal one and you can find a safe spot around the monster, it actually provides a nice opportunity for a counterattack. Just keep in mind that when Kingtusk is enraged, it can also do a powered up version that covers a larger area around the monster and then shoots larger vines. And then there's a third version of this move where Kingtusk rears its head to the side and then roars upward. After that, it'll send a trail of large vines in a straight line in front of it. So just make sure you dodge to the side when you see this. Kingtusk also has a quick tackle where it will rear back with all 4 feet firmly planted on the ground and then hit you with its tusks. So it's like a mini charge, and you can just dodge this to the side. Just make sure that you don't get hit by its head while it's rearing back, as that could momentarily stagger you and then cause you to be unable to avoid the attack. Kingtusk also has a heads-up toss, where it kneels and then faces downward, which is the sign, and then it'll toss its head upward. Just move away from the area around its head and you should be fine. Once again, this is also a good opportunity to counterattack Kingtusk from the back or side. Then next is the head swipe. So Kingtusk will sway its head toward one side, and then do either one head swipe or 2 consecutive head swipes from side to side. Like it's going like, nuh-uh. So just make sure you're not around its head. And then once again, you can get free shots from the back or side while it's doing this. Kingtusk also has a side tackle, where it crouches for a bit, and then slams the other side of its body towards you. Actually, even if you're standing in the direction of the side tackle, you can actually avoid getting hit by standing directly underneath its belly, or rolling towards its hind legs. So it kind of comes out fast, but it's actually also pretty easy to dodge. And then next is the move that I like to call the Bacon Beyblade. This starts out kind of looking like the head swipe, but then Kingtusk will let her rip and then spin its giant body in mid-air towards you. Like, seriously. I'm telling you, seeing a giant pig spinning in the air looks pretty hilarious. That is until it hits you. Then it's not so hilarious anymore. This can also be deceiving because Kingtusk spins a couple of times, so sometimes I'll forget and then I'll dodge the first spin and then relax, because I think I'm safe, and then the second spin comes out and then it hits me. So just make sure you continue to dodge and separate yourself until its full motion is done. Up next is the rock throw. It's like a rock concert. So yeah, Kingtusk will plant its snout on the ground, and then send 3 large boulders hurtling your way. There's actually a safe spot between the middle and the side boulders that you can stand in, so aim for that location if you're standing right in front of him. Otherwise, you can just go to the very side of the boulders. Heck, you can even stand behind an obstacle like a tree. And then up next is the Down Dog Tusk Slam. Yeah, so Kingtusk decides to do some yoga and then slams its tusks downward. You can tell it'll do this when it puts both front legs together and then raises its head while roaring. Another move is the Tail Swipe. So Kingtusk swipes its tail sideways a couple of times when it does this. You'll tend to see this more if you try to hang out near his tail, since the area near his head is usually dangerous. You can tell Kingtusk will do the move if it crouches forward and then raises its butt a little bit in the air. Yeah, it's thick, big bacon butt. And then there's Kingtusk's biggest move, which is the boar charge. This right here is the move that you want to watch out for, since it hits like a truck. A big furry truck with 2 big pointy thingies in front of it. You know that Kingtusk is doing it because it'll start scraping the ground with its right hoof several times. And then after about the 5th or so hoof scrape, it'll run toward you like you owe it money. A lot of money. Don't even try to outrun it from the front because like Liam Neeson, this thing will find you and could very well kill you if your health isn't fully topped out, or maybe if you're wearing the starter armor. The best way to counter this is to stack 6 crates side by side, which you can quickly do by standing still, then bring up the quick Karakuri menu, and then pressing the crate button 6 times. This will build a bulwark wall, which can knock down a charging Kingtusk cold and open it for a counterattack. Otherwise, if you don't have enough Karakuri string to build a bulwark, just run or slide toward the Kingtusk, not away from it, before it charges forward, and then try to get to its side or rear. Yeah, so toward the buttocks. By the way, here's a look at Kingtusk's gear, which personally I think is the best looking one out of all the early options. I pretty much was able to craft it after about 2 or 3 hunts, and then I was able to craft 2 of the modified versions by my 4th hunt. So it's actually not that hard to craft it, so definitely consider making it to make your other hunts easier. Just note that it has a big fire weakness, which I kind of forgot about when I was fighting this other boss that spews fire, and I was like, why am I taking so much damage? The lesson, as always, is, I'm an idiot. Anyway, there you go, my in-depth guide to beating Kingtusk. As always, if you have any thoughts or questions, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. That includes other tips that you might have that could be helpful for viewers. Now go and get that bacon.